Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. I'm your host, as always, Brennan Tassif. I'm here with my very good friend, Dallas Nelson. What's going on, man?
Hi, how's everyone doing?
So Dallas is here. He's a good friend of mine, a very funny comic out of Jacksonville, Florida, like most of my guests so far. Dallas, go ahead, plug everything up front. Anything you want to tell the people about?
I go under Dallas James Nelson for Facebook, if you use that terrible site. And then for Instagram, I go under Atlas_vaped. It's a joke about Atlas Shrugged, but most people don't get it.
I didn't get it.
No. Ayn Rand wrote this book called Atlas Shrugged, and if you've ever met a vape store owner, they think that they have figured out capitalism. So that's why I went with Atlas Vaped, but I think that joke's a little bit too deep, so I might change it in the future.
All right. You got any shows or anything coming up?
No, not so far. I think I might have something coming up at like Eclipse or something like that, but I'm trying to put in together a show. I'm moving out of town soon to Monterey, California first, then by that to San Diego.
We're going to get into that for sure. Dallas is leaving us, even though he's only been here for such a short time, it feels like. Dallas and I have a very interesting relationship. When I came back into comedy, I remember I went to Dahlia's, and you were the first person I ran into.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, my God, are you new? I'm Dallas. And I was like, well, kind of and kind of not. And you introduced me to everyone who came into comedy since I had left.
Well, if you know one thing about me, I am just very, very shy. I am so afraid of meeting new people. So Dahlia's was this little place that had kind of like a tiny copper room in the back. And I am like a chronic smoker. I don't like to drink when I do stand-up, but I love to smoke because it just fills the time in, you know? So I'm always in the front of a bar if I'm doing stand-up. So obviously, I'm usually the first person people run into if they go to a show. And that's where I ran into you. And obviously, big, handsome guy. So of course I'm going to introduce myself.
Yeah, it was interesting because I was super nervous going back into doing stand-up, obviously. And I remember I walked in and I kind of knew Christina. I definitely knew Buck, but he never really went to Dahlia's. I knew Crespo. But I remember I walked in and I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm so scared. Like, God, I got to bite. And you were like, hey, what's up, man?
Oh my goodness! That makes me feel good. I'm one of those big people that first off, if you're trying to like not persuade people to do comedy, what are you doing with your life? Like, You're not like better than anyone. I like it when people get to do what they want to do. Like, I'm totally into that really like gay Deepak Chopra like seize the day kind of stuff. Like, I'm all about like getting people out there and doing art, and I don't know, very, very, very much a faggot, I think.
What were you saying about that? Very much you're into letting people kind of do what they want to do and things like that?
Yeah, well, my big thing is I think that, like, it sounds kind of like pithy for somebody that does like a lot of dick jokes and butthole jokes, but art is just what exists because somebody couldn't express themselves otherwise. So I'm always like pushing people to do comedy. I'm always the person that wants people to go out and to go on stage because I think everyone can do it. I think everyone can learn how to do it, and really the only thing that's difficult about comedy is fear. A lot of people are just too afraid to stand up and talk, and it's like, oh, first off, it's wonderful. Who doesn't want to be the center of attention?
Well, it's weird because I was actually talking to Brian about that last week, and it was an interesting thing because I feel the same way you do. Like, I don't understand anybody who wouldn't want to get on stage and tell jokes and make people laugh and actually say something, But Brian had made an interesting point. He was saying that some people just don't have that tweak in their brain, which is so weird to me because I can't understand not wanting to be the center of attention. But in a way, he's right, because I know, like, with my family, like, they're like, no, I'm good. Like, I don't want to be up there talking and everyone staring at me.
Yeah, I do think that that's a true thing because I know because my background is that my father is a minister, so I
Hmm.
grew up on stage my whole life. He was a cowboy poet in North Florida from Montana. I'm not making any of this up, but no, he came down here in the 1980s because there was a huge beef boom, and my dad
Yeah,
always
there was.
oh
Enter
ew.
Dallas.
Ew. No, yeah,
But
there was a
seriously.
no, there was a cattle boom because they would take all the orchards, all the orange orchards for orange juice. They would feed it to cows. So there was this massive beef boom in the 80s. Like a ton of cowboys from all over America
Well,
came
and
to
a lot of people
Florida.
don't know that, but it's like Iowa, Idaho, and Florida are the three largest states that produce cattle in the United States.
Yeah, because in Florida, because it's basically a swamp. You can put 5 cows on like 2 acres, but you just can't do that in the Midwest. You need like 100 acres for a cow, but
Oh, wow.
here things just grow so fast. But I grew up, and my dad had this calling from God in the 90s to do what was called Cowboy Church. My dad founded Cowboy Church with a guy named Greg Kirkland. And so we would literally travel across America in a horse trailer, me, my mom, and my sister, who's older than me. And we would go to rodeos, actually ropings, which is technically in cowboy slang. A rodeo is if it's 7 events. A roping is if it's 1 event. So we would go to ropings. My dad was a team roper, and every Sunday my dad would pull up like this table. He would recite poetry, like Christian themed poetry. And when I was like 6 and 7, me and my sister would go up and sing "Jesus Loves Me," or my dad would bring me up if I had said like memorized a verse. I would say like a verse in front of everybody, all of these cowboys. So I like knew performance like from a very young age. I basically was like a traveling minstrel from the time I was like 4. I was on stage in front of people talking about Jesus and God and everything. And so that's where I learned stand up. And so I think when you get into that in your brain a little bit, there's a thing where okay, let's be honest. Some people like to be the center of attention, and when they say that, it's not that they like every attention. They like the attention that's good enough for them.
Yeah.
And when you're kind of like a stage person, like you like being a stage person because that attention that you get by being on a stage is a little bit different than just like wearing a nice shirt or being giving a compliment. Like stage attention is it's a dopamine rush. It's kind of
Yeah.
a drug.
Mhm.
Like it's different because, to put it like calmly, I could say it like, if I got a compliment about what I was wearing from somebody I absolutely hated, it would mean nothing. But if I was in front of a room full of people that I hated and I made them laugh, I'd still love it.
Yeah. No, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
So that's the weird thing about it is because I also did a lot of stage stuff, not nearly as much as you, but I did a little bit of stage stuff when I was younger. So yeah, I've just same thing though. Like I've been used to just being on stage or trying to be like the center of attention, like when I'm on the stage. But it's weird though how persistent you are and how nice you are to people when they first come in to stand up. Because as someone, because I've been doing it off and on for 10 years, and sometimes when people come in, and I've talked about this with Marcus, and I've talked about this with Brian and stuff, but they'll come in and they'll get like really drunk and they're like, oh, I'm the funny guy in the office, so I want to go up. And sometimes I find myself rolling my eyes like, seriously, man, like we're gonna do this whole thing again.
Yeah.
But you're always you're like, oh my God, that's so cool. You probably are the funniest guy at the office.
To be honest, I like being nice to people that are new to it because of the fact that like, and I do get tired of it. Like if it's that one guy, I have had a conversation with a newer comic that it was like his 5th time he came in just absolutely blitzed, and I was like, man, like if you want to be here, be here. Just
Yeah.
come here sober. I think you're funny. Just be sober. But I think a lot of times people are just drinking to have courage to do
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And so I want to be nice to people because I think the thing about it is like, one, I have depression. So I know that like sometimes you're just hanging on for what people give you.
Yeah.
So I want to give like, if people are going out there to make people laugh and just generally not be like a cynical asshole, like I'm so excited to see anyone that makes the world a better place. Like that is very stupid. Anyone who thinks comedy makes the world a better place, like literally, no, you're just telling me. No, I gotta, like, no, and it's not that important. Comedy's very gay and stupid. I hate comedy. It's awful. No, I just like being nice to people because I think it's fun. It really is. Like, everybody is always so... It's so interesting. I think everybody's got something about them that's really deep, and it's usually the thing they don't know is deep. Everybody's kind of a genius at something. They just need to be comfortable to let that out.
Yeah, and I've noticed that too. It's odd because like sometimes when I'm talking to tables or something like that at work, I get so invested, and I'm like, wait, how did that happen or what?
Yeah.
And I was talking to my girlfriend about it one time, and she was like, why do you talk to, who cares? I'm like, but yeah, everyone's got, like, a story, though.
Yeah.
Like, how people end up in certain positions is so bizarre to me.
Oh, no. I learned something recently that I wrote down is that, like, did you know, like, a deck of playing cards, that there's more possible combinations of a regular deck of playing cards than there are stars in the universe?
No, I didn't know that.
No. Yeah, like true mathematical fact. It's like a factorial of 54 or 52, like just a huge number. And so that just means that, like, it's a scientifically proven fact. Every person is unique. That's just undeniable science, proven.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because, like, when I was talking to... we had Brian on last week, and we were talking, and I didn't realize... I thought he was, like, lived in Texas and then came to Florida. And then he was like, oh, well, I lived in Chicago, and then I lived in New York. And I was like, wait, I've known you for years, and this is the first time I'm hearing about all this. And the same thing with you is, when I met you, because I had done comedy back in 2013 in Jacksonville to, like, 2015, and then I had stopped. And then you had came into comedy...
2018.
Yeah. So you were 6 months or almost I think you were 6 months in or something like that when I first showed back up, because I showed back up in 2018. And you were so full of life and so full of energy, and you were and it was just a front because you were a sad, depressed little scared boy.
No. It's not. I mean, I was sad and depressed, but it wasn't a front because I still am that excited about it. Like, I really, like... Man, it was kind of like I found comedy because, like, True Blue, like how most like straight white sad guys like do comedy because their girlfriend broke up with them, and it's just like,
Yeah.
I can't match with my girlfriend because we broke up. I'm an Aries and she's a cheating whore. No, I literally just kind of got to comedy as a point because when I had gotten out of the military, I was just so depressed that I just had to do something with it, and I was passionate about performance, and this is the only hobby on the planet where they're crazy enough to just let strangers take a microphone.
Yeah. They definitely just let you do it.
They let you do it. It's insane, and here I am.
And you were in the Air Force, correct?
Yes, I was in the Air Force for 6 years. I joined in 2011. I went November 2011. My actual join date was November 7th, and I remember because it was 2 weeks after Don't Ask, Don't Tell got the repeal started functioning. So Don't Ask, Don't Tell got repealed in September, but there was like a weird window for like 2 or 3, like a couple of weeks basically, where it was going into effect. Mm-hmm. So it had only been in effect, the repeal, for 2 weeks when I went into the military in 2011. And then I was an airborne cryptologic linguist. So I went to San Antonio.
Every time, I don't mean to chuckle, but every time you say it, I just hear your joke in my head.
Oh, yeah. Which one? The most badass way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so after I did boot camp, I did like flight school. And then I went to Monterey, California, and in Monterey, California, you get assigned your language, and so I got assigned Persian, which, I'm from Florida, and when they said Persian, I was just like, you mean from 300? Like, I had no idea. Like, True Blue from the South, I was just like, don't they all speak Arab? Like, it's just full on, like, actually believe that. Like, they're all Muslims over there, aren't they? Like, it's just like, it's Europe, Muslims, then China. That's literally all.
That's how it was in your head?
That's how it was in my head. I thought Europe, Muslims, China, and then there's like India somewhere, but wherever that is, And so, yeah, I went to Monterey, California, and then I spent a year and a half in Monterey, California. Very beautiful place, by the way. And basically, I spent 6 or 7 hours a day, every day, for 9 months learning Persian Farsi, which is Iranian. And then after that, I had to learn like Persian Afghan, which is Persian Dari. They do like a little conversion course for everyone that passes. So I learned language there in 9 months, and I like to say that's the most badass way of saying I have autism. No, linguists in general, like military linguists, are like the most bizarre breed of people on the planet. So everyone there, like when I took my ASVAB test, the general aptitude test, the highest you can score on it is a 99. And to get into the Air Force, you need to score a 55. I scored a 90. And 90 is the average score of the ASVAB for military linguists. So everyone there is just kind of like a nerd. Everyone there is very smart. And so there's this weird kind of, I guess, demographic to linguists. Like everyone's kind of bizarre in their own ways. Like no one's that smart without having a couple of screws loose.
Yeah. I say it about, like I love my older brother, but he's like super duper smart. Like, so the same kind of thing. Like, he's got a couple of screws loose, but he's a great guy, but he's like you're saying, like really smart.
Yeah. You can just use the word autistic. Like you can't, if you're smart at one thing, that just means that you're even dumber at another thing. Like that's really what it is. All life is just a straight up, like Fallout loading screen where you pick your stats. If you're really good at something, that means like I've got a lot of charisma and intelligence, but no wisdom.
Yeah.
Like, that's just like, I really took the like, yeah, I'm very smart, but I am addicted to drugs. But yeah. So it was a bizarre place. I learned how to drink there, for the weird part of the demographic thing is most of military people are 18 to 20. Like it's a young thing to do. You either got like ROTC kids or JROTC, sorry, like, weird military nerds, or, just kind of like kids that didn't have any other option to get away from where they were going. But linguists in 2011, like the average age there was like 25, which that's old for the military.
Yeah, because I was going to say, don't most kids like get out of high school, they don't really have any other options, so they just go right into the military?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So I was an odd duck because I was like an 18-year-old there, and then I was 18, 19, and 20. I spent that period of time there, and it was weird because I was the young kid. Like everybody else was older. They were usually like, the makeup is like 7 out of 10 linguists are that kid that raised their hand so much in class that the teacher started ignoring them.
Yeah.
And then like the other 3/10 is that there's like Mormons, and then I would say like uber smart rednecks, like these weird like
prodigies.
No. They're just legitimate God-given, like actual rednecks that are just like grew up on a farm, love hunting, and for some reason they just know science and math.
They just happen to be smart.
And then there's like probably like sociopaths. Like it was really weird. Like then you'll meet these guys that are like absolutely perfect at everything, and they're just horrifically emotionally unintelligent, just brutal. Like every guy I ever met that was like in shape, handsome, and also like good at the military and the language thing is like on their third divorce now. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah, no, I'm not even kidding. Like they just don't, because they're so good at everything else, they can't maintain.
Now, are you saying like they socially don't, like almost like an Asperger's, like it doesn't quantify, or they just are sociopaths where they just don't care about other people?
It's kind of like a little bit of both, like because there is like a genuine thing there where everyone does have like a intellectual thing that they're not good at.
Yeah.
And so it is kind of a sociopath thing, because you'll see it because of the fact that they're so capable at the requiring like stress of the military, the language, because it's such a stressful job, because you're not only maintaining physical fitness, you're maintaining like it sounds silly, but like maintaining a uniform with like buttons and ribbons that you have to keep updating.
It's fabulous.
It's fabulous. Now, and then you have to keep updating a shoe. You have to have your hair cut in a certain way all the time. And there's really no break from it. So
not only that, but there's the threat of war always on the horizon.
Yeah, there's threat of war, which I can tell you all about that. It's not so much that it's threat of war, it's that we're always at war now. So like the military is the most stressful place in the world right now. There's a lot of problems with it in the American military, and I can directly attest to it. Because the problem is that the military is in this weird place where we are at war, but we don't act like we're at war. Because when we're not at war, we are focused on like preparedness, like we're all going to be there. And when you are at war, you kind of sacrifice that glamour, like the sharp looking, for function, because that's necessary. But right now, and I don't know how it is because I've been out for 3 years, but what drove me crazy about it is just that there's this like horrific abomination right now where the military is like, we are at war, so you have to maintain perfection at your job and everything, but you also have to be a showcase person. So it's kind of weird, like it's impossible for so many people to do. I think that's why suicide's so high for veterans and soldiers right now, because like, you know, if you take a car to a show, like you take one of those 1950s cars or any car to a show, you know, you can take that car to the show, but that means you're not driving at 80 down the highway to work every day.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have this thing where it's literally like, imagine somebody taking like a convertible car and like you have to be showroom ready and you also have to take it 80 to work every
you
Monday.
have to drive it there, but it also has to be showroom ready.
Yeah, and so, you know, and that's where like those guys, I call them sociopaths. They're not really sociopaths. They're just people that aren't like fully emotionally intelligent. They're so good at the military and they're so good at their requirements because they're just not taking care of other people.
Yeah, they're
like,
just detached.
They're just detached. Like it's so easy to do the military thing if you just don't give a shit. Like if you don't give a shit
you completely
about
cut yourself off from everyone else.
Yeah, like if you completely just don't give a shit about other people, it's so easy. It's so easy to just be like, well, you're not capable of running 1.5 miles at this, so I don't really care about you. You're my subordinate, so I don't like you because you're not meeting the standards, and because you're not meeting the standards, that means I'm not meeting the standard. And you see it, and that's why the divorce rate and the suicide rate is so high in the military, is because it's just it's a, you know, it's like a weird bastard thing, you know, like what are we? Are we at war or are we at peacetime? Do you want us to be a showroom car or do you want us to drive us to work every day?
Yeah, well, because there's that really interesting quote. I can't remember what it's from, but I remember reading it. Just, you know, studying political science and history and stuff. I think it was there is no such thing as peacetime. We're always at war, so act like it.
Yeah.
Something like that. But it's interesting to what you're saying, especially now, because it seems like with everything that's going on in the world, it's like, no, there's no, like, we're deployed all over the place. So there's this idea that because we're not fighting like an active war like World War II or something. It's like, no, we're still at war.
Oh, yeah. It was really weird. And, you know, I think what a lot of people don't know, like I learned drinking from DLI, which obviously I was drinking underage, which at the time was like hotel parties were the big thing. Parties, and then also normally in the military, you have to stay on the base.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So we're in California.
Yeah.
You're 18.
Well, so to be a linguist is weird. Again, I'm a special linguist. So most of the time when you do training in the military, it's at best like 3 months. I'm serious. It's like 3 months, like to do, because if you're a mechanic, really, you need to learn the basics of being a mechanic. Imagine that every job is teaching you something from the base level. Like, they assume that you know nothing. So if you're going to be an aircraft mechanic, you know, you got a couple of months to learn it, but they already know you're going to have out-of-date stuff anyway. So really, it's stuff that you learn while doing the job. So when you're in training in the military, you are a child. So in Monterey, California, we were in training status for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So basically, training status means that you cannot be out after 10 p.m. on a weekday. Anytime you travel more than, for us, it was more than 50 miles away from your base, you have to fill out a completely detailed itinerary of where you're going to be and why you're going to be there. And
So even if you just want to like go visit family or something, you have to
you have
break
to
it all down.
You have to break it all down. Like, and in fact, the itinerary, I don't know if they still do it, but how we had to do it is that you had to like measure every single break. So if you were on like a plane trip, you had to fill out every single detail about like your stops and layovers. Like you had to be like, I was going to this airport and this airport. I'll be in this.
Wow.
Yeah, because you're on call 100% of the time. So whenever it was a weekend, it happened to us once. Like, if it was a weekend, they have the power to just call everyone at any moment and be like, 1 a.m. We've had a drunk driving accident. Everybody be in blues in our meeting square 1 a.m. right now, Saturday night.
And that's because like someone from the base got into an accident?
Yeah, for us, it was because of the fact that there was like a big drunk driving accident where like nobody really got hurt. It was just like, I'm trying to remember. This is so long ago. What was it? I actually was the cause of one of those. Not for the Air Force though, for the Marines. I may or may not have. There might be an urban legend or two about me in the Presidio of Monterey.
Of course there is.
Yeah. By the way, the Presidio is where we go. There's a giant stone eagle there.
Okay.
And whenever you pass by it, it's an urban legend that they say if a virgin comes to DLI and leaves as a virgin, the stone eagle will fly away.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like nobody tells you like the military right after boot camp is nothing but like it's so much fucking. Well, so the thing,
everyone's young. You're all in shape. Everyone's
well, not only is everyone young and in shape, mostly in shape because of the fact that like it's insane. Some people put on weight real quick, but
Oh, you mean right after boot camp?
Right after boot camp. But the thing is that so boot camp is funny because I wouldn't call boot camp hard. Boot camp is exhausting, is what it is because it's not hard. It's as much as it's an impossible task. Nobody can do boot camp alone. That's the whole point. You get broken down to a point where you figure out, oh wait, I need a team. I'm no longer Dallas. I am part of a like Troop 70, or like Wing 70. I forget the words. I hated boot camp. I was bullied in it for being gay. Ugh. So after boot camp, basically you've spent in the Air Force, you spent like 8 weeks being emotionally torn down. When I mean emotionally torn down is that like every minor mistake that you make is a massive issue. Like I remember when we first came in, they make us like stand at attention in front of our wall locker. Mm-hmm. And like they're all yelling at you, and they know that they're just trying to get you to fuck up. And this sergeant, I think his name was Pickett, Master Sergeant Pickett, was going through because what they do is you bring your bag with you, and they search your bag to see if you brought like any drugs or
contraband,
knives or weapons or anything like that. He was just like, where is your bag? And I took my hand and I pointed to my bag, which was at a bunk bed. And he just came at me and just yelled at my face and was like, because he was just like, don't move your hand because I don't know if you have a weapon, airman. And it was just like this brutal, and this is again the first day, like just a brutal ripping and reaming. And it's like that for the whole time. So you are really.
I don't understand that though. I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's not prison. Like, why would you voluntarily go to boot camp and carry a weapon to like stab somebody?
Well, no, it's not that you carry a weapon to stab people. It's more along the lines of like, somebody might have like a knife that their parents gave them or something. Yeah. I had a pocket knife my dad gave me. It was called an old timer, which is like a real country thing. If anybody knows what an old timer knife is, they are country as fuck.
But they really are like searching you down, like to make sure you don't have. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Well, so because the thing is that it's like I said, it's not that it's hard. It's exhausting. It's meant to break you down to your most fundamental thing. So of course people do crazy things there all the time because they just snap. Because some people have never had any moment in their life where they've snapped like that. Like they've never had any moment like. So you see these guys like. So take a guy that's just been from like a really hard life where they've had to be performatively tough their entire life.
Yeah.
And you take them to that place. And they can snap. Girls snap. People snap. Sometimes there's like always urban legends about like military instructors. We called them MTIs. We didn't call them drill sergeants.
Military training instructor.
Yeah, military training instructor. You are very smart. Look at that, Brennan. But there were stories about like MTIs getting hit or stabbed. And
Well, see, I would think it would be the opposite. That if you come from a really rough background and a really rough life, that you could almost handle that situation of being screamed at and stuff. But you're saying those are the kind of people that would snap.
well, there's not.
I mean, I guess it's not one.
No. I think what most people forget about crazy is that crazy is universal. That's the scary part about crazy is that there's really no really precursor to crazy until you get to crazy. That's pretty much it. Like the shit hits the fan. It's not like you don't know the shit hits the fan. That's why it's called shit hitting the fan.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was just like crazy things like because people it's mentally exhausting. The whole point is to be completely and totally broke down into a worthless individual as yourself. Like the goal is to be that I am no longer Dallas.
Yeah, you're nothing without the team.
No, I'm Airman Nelson.
Yeah.
Like I'm Airman Nelson, that's the goal. The goal isn't to be. You go in as Dallas, which is my first name, and then you leave and you're known as Nelson. And Nelson is who you are. And that process requires you to be broken down. That's how you make soldiers. That's how you make people that do it. So you go through that, right? Horrific, brutal, no positive reinforcement whatsoever.
Oh, that's so sad because I know you now, and it makes me sad to think that people were just screaming at you all the time.
Oh man, actually, boot camp was it was really funny. I got along better with my MTIs than I did with my flight, my group of people that I was working with. They were really homophobic. I got a group of really stupid people.
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
they
that's
were.
too bad.
Yeah, well, they were really homophobic. They were really dumb. They wouldn't let me take showers with them. So I would be behind and everything because you have to be on like a time period and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I would imagine.
So they wouldn't let me take showers with them, which was I was really bullied there. But the MTIs kind of figured that out, and how I proved value is that I started helping out other flights. I was a chapel guide, which meant that I went to like baby flights or brand new people, and I would lead them to the church on Sunday. And so I had like a really good rapport with my prison guards. And then
Dallas always with the church, man.
Always with the church. That's where I was at. Well, because I wasn't out. I went into boot camp right after I volunteered for conversion therapy.
Okay.
Yeah. I did like a couple months where I lived with my pastor. I didn't tell my mom or my dad, but I came out to my pastor right before. And I did conversion therapy because I wanted to be straight. And then I went into boot camp because I was like, I was at this crossroads when I was 18 where I knew that I was gay and I knew that was not something that would make my family happy. Okay. So naturally, my only option was to join the military. That was the only thing that I could do was to join the military. I have a bucket list. I wanted to learn a language. I knew I was good at learning things, but I'm terribly unmotivated. So I went to a recruiter and I was like, do you guys have a job where learning things is a thing? And they made me test to be a linguist, and I became a linguist. And so after boot camp, you go there. So now imagine this, right? Like you've got a ton of just absolutely horny and emotionally starved, hot as fuck 20-somethings all in one place, and then just add nobody's drank for 8 weeks, by the way. So now imagine that you just add a drop of alcohol. Everyone has money, a place to stay.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, of course. So like sexual assault's a huge issue, but like, yeah, everybody's fucking because of the fact that like one, if we're all like, nobody has any alcohol tolerance. Nobody has any emotional solidarity. So the moment that somebody likes you and like in that romantic way, like immediately you're just like, close her off. Like, because you're just so desperate for attention. Because remember, like you can't really masturbate at boot camp either. Like it's not really something you can do.
Yeah. Because everyone's around all the time.
Everyone's around all the time. So you're just kind of
You can really hear it in your voice that you weren't able to.
Oh God, yeah.
Couldn't. Everyone's always there. They're always watching. They're always listening.
I know. I mean, oh man, yeah. Boot camp would be an amazing time if you were a voyeur. no, but I learned to drink there, which obviously, I mean, theoretically, hypothetically, I may have learned to drink there if anyone in the military. No, I'm joking. Everybody knows underage.
Hypothetically.
Everybody knows underage drinking is a huge problem in the military because of the fact that, like, there's just a culture for getting drunk and being in the military. Like, it really is like an expected thing of you to be like a party animal. And it's actually inbred into the culture of being in the military because it's kind of meant to be like, like this performative masculine thing. Like, even if you are a woman, a gay man, like, I'll tell you, like, when I got drunk at parties and when I was like with close friends on deployment, there was this like moment where it was just like, hey, Dallas, like, I don't hate faggots, but you say you're a faggot. Like, and I was like, yeah, you can say I'm a faggot. I don't care. And then we would go to the girl and we would be like, well, hey, Abendroth, just say you're a cunt, right? Just say, and she goes, yeah, I don't care if you call me a cunt because I'm part of the military. And then you go to the black one. And,
oh my God.
No, and that actually happened all the time. No, you had to be tough. Like, drinking was a challenge. There was always video games. Ring of Fire was always the big one where you flip the cards.
Yeah.
You have to play the game. That was always, beer pong was huge.
Drinking games.
Oh, huge.
You said video games.
Oh, sorry, video games. Sorry, no, drinking games. Like, because we couldn't just drink. And
I was like, wait a second. Are you guys like playing Skyrim and doing shots? Like, what's happening?
No, Skyrim did come out that year. No, it is weird. Like, not only are you competing to get drunk, but you're actually competing at getting drunk. Like, there was never a party in the military that I do not remember that there was not some form of competitive spirit.
Yeah.
There was Ring of Fire. There was beer pong was the huge one. There was Flip Cup. Flip Cup kind of joke, though, is that girls were really good at Flip Cup, so we never played Flip Cup.
Okay, yeah.
And so we learned to drink as this competitive. The goal is to get fucked up and have sex. Like, it's just almost like this brutal, like, I'm a man, so I'll drink beer and I'm gonna get fucked up. And like, you do that. And so, like, yeah, that's how I learned to drink at like 18. And remember, you have to remember, I was super Christian before all of this.
Yeah.
So
well, you just said you volunteered to go to conversion therapy, and you grew up in the church. Your dad started the cowboy church.
Yeah, he started Cowboy Church, legit. Yeah, I grew up in the church, so and so like when I moved to California, all the linguists are like, they're liberal snobs because they're all like educated college dropouts or just most burnouts. Like, really, like most of them were like. The coolest friends I had were all the kids that did too much weed to pass high school or college, but they were smart. They were just fucking high all the time.
Yeah.
But no, those were all of my friends. But so I was super Christian, but everybody was accepting of me being gay. So I came out in California because.
And this is after boot camp because you said no one was.
Yeah, this was about 6 months after boot camp. I came out in. Publicly to my friends in March of 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's when I started classes. There was a gay person in my class, and he knew I was gay because, well, I've always had like a really effeminate voice,
Yes, I do know.
Yeah. For anyone who is not listening, like not watching this, my hands are just flying right now. It's just very like, I talk like an Italian woman. No, that's just being gay, talking like an Italian woman. Yeah. We're both waving our arms around.
Oh, yeah. Podcast, not visual.
Podcast. No, so, I was gay. I was, without God, morality does not exist. No, no. So, I started drinking. I started being very sexually active. Like, and it was weird because I kind of slipped into this weird thing that, a lot of gay guys do. A lot of gay guys can only have sex if they're drunk.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah. That's like a kind of like a little shameful secret. I don't know if it's more common for older people now. Younger people because it's so accepted in some areas. But like I knew because I ran into a couple people. But because there's this thing where like you get raised with gay being so shameful.
Yeah.
And that And it's funny because I ended up like sleeping with guys and everything. And the only way you could sleep with guys sometimes is that you'd have to be drunk. Well, they would have to be drunk and you'd have to be drunk. And you'd have to play this weird, like, get drunk at the right level to have sex with someone so that they don't get mad at you when you have sex with them. And then, like, yeah. Because there's like a shameful thing about it. So a lot of gay guys like really, really can't have sex unless they're drunk. Because,
wow, I did not know that.
yeah, because when you get like so ashamed of like the gay thing, like, you literally need like some some liquid courage. Or, like I mean, there's
I mean it makes perfect sense what you're saying. I just didn't realize that was
well
something that happened.
Well, in a funny way, actually, you do know because I bet you've heard the term "to be or queer."
Oh, yes, I have.
Yeah, to be or queer. That's what that's about, is that when you are in the closet, one of the first things that you do, and fortunately I never really had to do that because I got to come out, but when you're in the closet, one of the things that you'll do is, I just got drunk and sucked a dick. I mean, like, I'm just so drunk. And I'm just
so drunk. Yeah,
I'm just so drunk. I don't know what I'm doing, And so, yeah. And it's weird because there's a bunch, like, because the military is so fake and macho, there's, like, a ton of those guys there because it's all around America and everything.
Well, I can imagine you're not the only one who joined the military with that kind of background, I mean, maybe not the growing up in the church and the conversion therapy, but someone who was like, I think I'm gay. I don't want, I don't want my family to be disappointed. I need to do something that's going to make them proud of me. So I'll just join the military. I'm sure that happens more often than you'd think.
Yeah.
Not you personally, but
no, it really does. There's like a whole stereotype for it. But most commonly, it's that's like a Marines thing. Marines and Army.
Oh, shots fired.
Yeah, no. Those they're very tough Marines. The best bottoms you can ever meet.
Someone's going to cut my throat for this.
Oh, no. I mean, look, the Marines are easily the toughest branch. I've never seen someone take a dick better. No, I'm sorry. I'm not making fun of the Marines.
I'm not saying any of this. So you're a gay veteran. You can say whatever the fuck you want, man.
We used to joke that if there was a gay Marine and he wasn't a bottom, we called him a unicorn. No. All the branches are great. Anytime somebody says a branch is worse than the other branch, every branch has its positives and negatives. The Marines are like the hardest working and the funnest. They're also the craziest. There's a local urban legend actually on Monterey regarding the Marines and me.
That's of course here on Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. We do like to chit chat and talk a little bit, but I do like to share stories about escapades, be it drinking or drug related. And you said, when you got here, I said, yeah, so do you have any of those kind of stories? You said, well, I've got one epic tale.
I have probably the most epic tale because this one's funny. I have two tales. One's really sad, one's really funny.
Tell them both. We got time.
Okay. So the funny story is that, so I'm in Monterey, California, and I don't know if it's like this in California still, but there's like a ton, well, obviously with COVID it isn't, but in 2012 there were a ton of these places that were like restaurants and then they would just become bars and nightclubs.
Yeah.
Like they would be a restaurant and then at 10 it's like, all right, everybody, we're a nightclub now.
Yeah, that's how a lot of the places are at the beach here in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Their restaurants kind of during the day till about like 8 o'clock and then all of a sudden a DJ comes in and it's like, oh, now it's not a restaurant anymore.
Yeah, and so they probably have done something. But those places are like the easiest place to be a fucking underage drinker because all you do is you go in, you order food, and then when it's like 10 o'clock and they like bring out like the alcohol and everything, or they bring out the bouncer, they would bring out the bouncer at 10 o'clock. And so what you do is you were either friends with a waiter or a waitress, and then you would go to the bathroom. So I was friends with a waitress at this place called Indian Summer, which was basically like a hookah lounge.
Okay.
And so it was my birthday, my 23rd birthday. It was my 23rd birthday, and I was
23.
23. Which, if you do the math right now, I'm just going to say 25 forever. But so I had gone there with a couple of friends, and you know me, incredibly shy. but I had just kind of also, you have to imagine like I'm 23. And I have abs, So,
Oh, yeah.
like, I have abs. So, like, when you're a pretty sociable gay, like, the world is your oyster. And I just got to do, like, I was the pearl of the world. So I got to party with everyone and I got to be gay. So I just, like, really hammed up the whole gay thing.
Yeah.
Because I could never be gay before. So I was just so excited to be gay. Oh, my God, I'm gay. I have sex with men. And I totally was like that because I never had a chance to do that. Like, just imagine, like, how like some guys get annoying with pussy, but you know how like 13-year-old kids talk about pussy where they're like, pussy's the best thing in the world. Now imagine that you could never have any of those conversations until you're 19 and you try not being annoying.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's why gay people talk about sex all the time because they're basically a 13-year-old boy that just found out that their friends like pussy too. But
look at Dallas enlightening the world here.
I know. Thank you. But anyway, these girls showed up, and obviously I don't remember any of their names because what happened was I was getting AMFs, which AMF is short for adios motherfucker, and they were. I don't know what was in them, but I know that they were blue.
But I know that they were blue.
I know that they were blue. Anything that's...
So, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but we kind of glazed over it. So, you're in the restaurant, and then they're turning it into a nightclub. You knew one of the waitresses, so she gave you, like, a wristband or, like, sent you...
No. So, basically what it was is that when the waitress here would walk around, and then she would, like, once she got everyone's tab, she would check everyone's ID, and then if you were good, you were good.
Oh, okay. I just was... Because you said you knew her, but then I was like, how did that translate to you being able to stay?
Yeah, well, so also I was a fiend at underage drinking because I figured out something really smart it's really dumb, but it's also kind of stupid genius. So I figured out something called refuge and audacity, which was that I figured out that people who tried to hide something got caught. So what I found out at Monterey is if everyone always saw me drinking in public, they would just assume that I was of drinking
absolutely.
age. So I basically... What I would do at bars, too, is my friend would order a drink, and I would know the waitress, and I would be drinking this, like, AMF in front of, like, this waitress. Like, this clearly alcoholic drink in front of everyone. So as long as there wasn't a sergeant there that knew me as being underage, everyone just assumed I was overage.
Yeah, so then you order another drink. No one's going to card you because, obviously, you were already carded to get the first drink.
Yeah, and so since I was so confidently drinking this drink, and I didn't, like, try to, like, sneaky sip it or anything. I was just like chugging this drink in front of everyone, and I was like bragging about how drunk I was.
Yeah.
Nobody asked. It was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever done, and I got away with it.
Well, yeah. I mean, that happens. People always say, just act like you own the place, and no one's going to question you. Which you'd be shocked how often it happens because I work in restaurants, and like if someone just walks into the back, we just assume they're supposed to be there. Yeah. Like if they walk in with confidence, we're like, oh, maybe this is like a manager from another store. Maybe this is a person that is supposed to fix something. Like we don't ask it. It's when people walk in and they're timid and they're like, oh, is this, then I'm like, oh no, you're looking for the bathroom. It's over there. But if someone were to just walk in, and I've done that before as a manager. Like you go to another store to pick something up, you just walk right into the back and everyone just lets you do it.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same thing. It's like if you're drinking in public, everyone's just gonna be like, yeah, obviously Dallas is 23. Duh.
Yeah. And so, basically, it was this back patio. It was a hookah lounge, which was like way bigger in 2012, I feel like.
Yeah.
It kind of had like that brick stone feel. And anyway, these three Marine girls showed up, which they were pretty Marine girls, which there is a stereotype, nothing for anyone in the audience. There's stereotypes about the military. Pretty Marine girls are crazy. And I say this as a pretty Air Force man. I was crazy. Pretty military people in general are crazy. That's just like the hallmark of it. I'm not pretty now. I am.
You're beautiful.
Oh no, I'm handsome. Thank you. So we were just all partying and drinking, and these two Marines came, and then my other 19-year-old friend who also learned from me, by the way, to just do refuge and audacity, which is insane to think that I'm just this Christian kid that figured out this. I'll just act like this.
Yeah.
Like full blew. Like if I was a terrible person, like I probably would have been much worse. But no, so we were drinking. I was having this really wonderful time with these girls and everything, and it's super fun to be like a little flighty gay guy because you get to flirt with all the girls, and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But flirting is universal. Who
Yeah,
doesn't like to flirt? Like, I'm sorry. If you're gonna tell me that you don't like feeling pretty, you are a fucking liar.
Exactly.
Exactly. Like you don't like the wrong type of attention, but everyone wants to be wanted.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a really. Yeah.
Sometimes I love it when I have tables come in. It's always like older gay gentlemen that love me.
They're just looking for your OnlyFans.
And I'm always just like obviously I've got my girlfriend and everything, but I eat it up. I'm just like, stop. Like you don't do that.
I know. Look at you loving.
Because I just like to feel pretty too.
Yeah, no, yeah, you want to feel wanted, and it's also so basically I'm just like flirting. They're kissing me on the cheek because for some reason they're really overdressed for tonight. Like they all like we kind of bonded because I do remember that we were all country people, and there's like this weird thing for like country people that moved to a city, like because I'm from a really small town, is that we always overdress if we go out to bars for the first time. And I think it's because there's kind of like a thing about it, but they were kind of in like gowns basically.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and full makeup, the full nines, and one of the Marines was just getting a little bit too drunk, and like I would talk to him and everything, and he was just kind of like wobbling. Obviously, I'm just gonna call him. This will be hilarious, but Snuffy, because in the Air Force, Airman Snuffy is the fill-in for Airman. So if you want to ask like advice, like, "Hey Sergeant, what would you say if Airman Snuffy, when you're talking about yourself, is having this problem?" Like so, Marine Snuffy, basically, he was already swaying, and he wasn't really listening to what I was saying, and so
just so we can make it clear that it's you're the 3 Marine girls.
3 Marine girls, 2 Marines, and 1 other Air Force friend.
Okay.
My Air Force friend is my best friend, Aaron. I still talk to him this day. He can actually verify this. So I was just like partying. I was feeling like the belle of the ball, basically, and I got really close with one of the Marine girls. She had blonde hair. She was very sweet. And she was dating this other Marine Snuffy, actually, who Marine Snuffy had just kind of been like iffy in and out and everything. And I'm just like laughing and giggling, and we're talking about bullshit. And it's like, it's great because of the fact that since I had first come out, I didn't know how to be gay.
Yeah.
So, but I did know what people wanted a gay person to be. So that was... Oh, Lord. If you know what people want out of you, you can get anything from them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah. So I wanted attention. So I got to be like the gay best friend whenever I wanted to be. I hate that now. But back then, I was just, back then I was so eating it up because I was like, you love me and I'm gay?
Yeah.
And I remember it, and it was really funny. But I sat on her lap. She had this platinum blonde, short-cut hair, and I sat on her lap, and Marine Snuffy comes up to me, right? And he's wobbling, and he goes, "Hey, guy," and and then I'm like, "Hey," and I'm Dallas, so I'm third person for this, so I'm like, "Hi, oh my God," like I'm just like super excited, obviously. Just blaring symbols of just purely newly obtained gayness. And this guy goes, "That's my girl." And he like throws a haymaker at me. And he hits me in the face. And at the other table, there was some other...
The way you brushed over to that? Like he's wobbling, he's stumbling, "That's my girl," and then you're like, and he throws a haymaker, and I'm assuming you're gonna be like, yeah, and obviously he missed, and you're like, and he hit me in the face anyway, so.
Well, no, okay. Yeah, so he did hit me in the face, but 2 things. Even though I sound like this, I am from the country. I have been bucked off of horses.
Yeah.
I have, like, face planted into trees. I've gotten the shit beaten out of me at life. So, like, 1, it was a drunken haymaker. I'm drunk. And also, I'm just, like, a noodly type person. Like, impact damage doesn't hurt me very much because I go with it,
Yeah.
So he did hit me in the face, and, like... But again, you also have to think too. Like, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm drunk, and I'm also doing that performative masculine thing. So,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
for me, like I don't even react. I want to be tough. I want to be the tough gay guy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, because he did hit me, and he didn't really hurt because, like I said, I was wobbling too. Like it was weird. Like I was at that point of drunk where you're just so like. I'm at that point of drunk where you're actually a master of fighting because
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
just wobbling with the punches.
You
Like,
go with it, so there's very little impact. It doesn't hurt as much.
yeah, because they can hit you and throw at you, but you move with it so
Yeah.
well. Like, oh yeah, I'm in the groove. And there was this guy, Airman Lacey. He was actually at another table, giant fucking thumb of a man. And it was funny because the two airmen that I remember there are Irwin and Lacey. Lacey failed out, which great for him. That guy should not have been in the military because it was awful. But he was this giant, just brick shit house of a human being. And Irwin was this petite lesbian. Irwin was like 4'6" or 4'8", like
Oh, wow.
incredibly tiny. And Lacey is like 6'2", human thumb. And he like pulls the guy off, and like after that, like. And then, like, they get him, security does that, and then they're like, we're going to go ahead and call the police. And then I'm like, oh, shit, I'm underage.
Yeah.
And so...
Because this isn't just a bar fight. Like, you signed you're in the military.
Yeah, I mean, and in the military, you're under completely different legal jurisdiction. So it's like, oh, I am fucked if the police talk to me and I am drunk. And so what I end up doing is they're like, we're going to go get the manager. And I look at Aaron and I go, we're going to dip. And so I jumped the fence for it. And I told Lacey.
Front door, back door?
Back door. I literally jumped the fence.
Yeah.
I told some random people, like, I was like, okay, guys, I'm underage. Just say that I left because I had a nervous breakdown. And I left, and Aaron ended up being stuck with the Marine guy that hit me. And because one, the other Marine, his Marine friend that's not drunk, is freaking out at this point. They're all freaking out because of the fact that I just got hit, but I'm not really hurt. So I tell them all, like, guys, calm down. We're fine. Like, always been an instinctive leader. And so, guys, calm down. We're fine. Get him out of here. I'm going to get out of here. So basically, I like formulated this plan where we're like, all right, everybody, shuck and jive.
Yeah.
Like just this whole performative thing where I got like everybody out of there as quick as possible. And so I got out and I walked to the base, which was about 2.5 miles away up a hill. But again, I'm 19 in the best shape of my life, so I'm doing it in like 10 minutes. Oh, man, you should see my calves. My calves are still gorgeous from Monterey. But anyway, so that guy, he ends up in my friend's truck. Aaron is from California, so he just brought his truck up from home, Oceanside. And Aaron drives this guy, and they're trying to
The
get
guy
him.
who hit you.
Yeah, the guy who hit me. Because again, even if he's a Marine, we're all military. So like, you can't dime on your military brothers, man.
No,
That's
for sure.
all
Yeah.
about it. And so I get to base. Fortunately, everyone involved is just so cool that they're not ratting on me either. And then the next day, and this is Sunday.
So you get home, you go to bed, everything's all right.
Everything's all right. But obviously I'm like telling people about this, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm so proud of it too. Because I'm like a smaller gay man, and I got punched by a Marine, and I'm tough,
Yeah.
And it's so funny. But in the next day, I see all of the Marines on Sunday wearing uniforms, which you have your regular uniform, which you can literally throw on. They're like pajamas. They're super comfortable. But you have your dress uniform, which you have to press, and you have to iron, and you have to look nice.
Yeah.
And they're in that. And the Marines have like 5 of them. I don't even know all their names. Like, I think they're in deltas, is what they call them, because they had like blue pants with a red stripe, and then they had like a kind of, it looks like a Boy Scout shirt with like a white cap.
Okay.
And
So you guys are all on the same base.
yeah, we're all on the same base.
And you walk out and the Marines are all dressed in Delta Blues.
Yeah, all in their Delta Blues. I don't know if that's. I'm sorry, I'm not a Marine Air Force. I think it's Deltas. I might be describing the wrong one. And they go to the smoke pit, and I see a couple of my Marine friends. I was friends with a lot of Marines because of the fact that I don't know why. I started smoking there. All the Marines were smokers. And for some reason, I just thought it was cool to be around Marines. Like, I wanted to be tough. So a lot of my friends, well, I was friends with everyone because for the
Because you're Dallas.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Well, no, not only am I Dallas, but it was the first time in my life. So, I'm naturally theatric and outgoing. But it's the first time in my life I get to be me. So I'm just basically, I'm naturally loud and affable. So, I'm hanging out with them and like I'm smoking a cigarette and I kind of have like a bruise because he hit me like right on the temple. So basically he ringed me, but that was pretty much it. Like I kind of have a bruise, like if you look, but it's not that bad because I moved with it because I was that drunk. And we're smoking with it and it's just like, I was like, why are you guys all in blues? And he goes, yeah, because a Marine fucking punched a gay guy.
Just like that, he said it?
Yeah. And then I start chuckling. And they're like, holy shit, it was you. Because everybody knew me as the
gay guy.
The gay guy. I was
capital yeah.
Capital Q. Capital Q for Queen. So I was the gay guy. And like, so basically the Marines are all laughing because the thing is, my boyfriend at the time was a Marine. So actually that's why I had all the friends with the Marines. I was dating one. What? But, all the Marines are just like laughing. And I also got like a ton of street cred with the Marines because I never turned the guy in and I didn't do anything to him and I like forgave him and anything.
How did they find out that
it was a gay guy? Because
yeah, like if you guys all got out of there, how would?
Let me put it this way. There is no bigger engine for gossip than a military base.
Okay.
Military bases are like the culture is the things you have to do and gossip. Like everyone's gossiping. So because a bunch of people saw it, and obviously, like
okay, yeah, that makes
again,
sense.
You have to understand. Like when I say I was gay, like you could see me from 100 feet away. Like because
so they were just like, I don't know what happened, but that dude punched that gay guy for sure. He's gay. I know that
for sure. He's gay. Like because basically, like I had my arm around a bunch of women and I was like giggling. Like oh my god, I was just the most like I looked like fucking Nathan Lane and like Bird Cage, like just full like oh my goodness, full on. Like I could have been wearing a leopard print dress and I would be gayer. I wouldn't even be gayer, and back then too, I wore like bright pink shirts.
Did
and
you?
Yeah. I'm wearing skinny jeans. I'm showing off. Like I think at one point I wore a crop top.
Oh
because,
god.
Well, I had abs. People, I had abs.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Rock it if you got it, right?
Rock it if you got it. Oh my god, I hate me.
So what happened? You guys were all at the smoke pit?
Yeah, we're all at the smoke pit, and from then on, I don't know because I want to go back and just double check if it's like a real thing. But for like a year, for the rest of the year, there was like an urban legend about a Marine that assaulted a gay guy, and they're just like, and the great thing about being your own urban legend, especially when you're your own drunk urban legend, is that you just get to hear the wrong details about it. Like, oh, like I used to correct them about how the story was, but my ego, it's enormous. So I would just listen and they would tell all these different variations about it. Like at one point I was a black gay guy because that's even more shocking.
Yeah.
So it was really, really awesome because like one, I was like kind of like a cool Marine for once. Like all the Marines, like basically everybody that looked like my bullies in high school thought I was the most badass person because one, I did get punched and then what was funny about it is remember when I told you Aaron took him away and drive?
Yeah.
So while he was driving away, the guy was so drunk and he was just having like a sad moment. Like everyone in the military is fucked up in some way or another. And he was just having one of those bad days. And he jumped out of the truck and he broke his hand.
Holy shit.
He broke the hand that punched me. So people had this whole thing
that
he broke his hand on my face.
And you were so tough that you barely even had a bruise.
Yeah, and I barely even had a bruise, and there were a bunch of people that confirmed that I was the one, so it was like so awesome because there was this whole moment where it's like, yeah, I broke a Marine's fist with my face. Like people started believing it. It was like the best thing ever. Like having an own urban legend about yourself is like the coolest thing I've ever had happen to me drunk. And then most of the other times we're just getting way too drunk and having sex with a stranger.
No, that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know.
What was the sad story you wanted to tell?
Oh, okay. So I wasn't drunk this time. I was actually the designated person to be sober, which was kind of a weird position.
Hey, okay, I think I know.
Well,
go ahead. No, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. So at DLI, while I did drink underage, I mean, as a 23-year-old, like a fiend, eventually you do get caught. But I had kind of gotten slightly caught. So I had a weird thing where, so this is
after the urban legend story.
After the urban legend story. So I had a weird thing happen, and I'm coming more comfortable to talk about it. But when I was in DLI, I ended up being sexually assaulted. There was a guy in the Navy that was married to somebody who was HIV positive. And I would come over to their apartment, and a bunch of us would, because they had their own apartment. You could live off base if you had like a significant other that you were married to at the time, because normally you can't do that in training because it's only 3 months, but since it's a year and a half, you can do that.
Yeah.
And so his partner was HIV positive, and he didn't really reveal that. And I got really drunk, and he would always like feed me booze and everything. And I got really drunk underage all the time, and we ended up having sex. Now, and it's kind of a weird thing to say, but what ended up happening is I found out his partner was HIV positive. And so there was this weird thing that happened to me. Because you do have to remember, like, I am a country crazy Christian person that went through conversion therapy. I spent my whole life being told that gay people are like basically rats, disease-carrying vectors for society-ending God's punishment kind of thing. So I didn't know how HIV positive, HIV worked. So I just assumed that I was exposed to HIV. And in a way I was, but I should have been much more like knowledgeable about it. But what that guy did was really fucked up.
Yeah.
Because he was having sex with like a group of us. Him and his husband would have like threesomes with other people. And I never had sex with his HIV positive husband, but I had sex with, the other people. And so, we all found out because I think what it ended up being is we found the HIV medication at his house. Somebody did.
So they weren't revealing any of this to you?
No, they weren't revealing any of it. Basically, like, I had this friend that was my first gay friend, that was my first person that, like, gave me the confidence to come out as gay. Basically, kind of lied to me about HIV positive, being unsafe with sex because he wouldn't wear a condom with his husband, and we wouldn't have sex with condoms because we were dumb and we thought that that's how that worked. And so... Yeah.
I don't mean to laugh, but it's just the way...
Yeah, we
were dumb, and we just thought that's how that worked.
Yeah, we were dumb. A lot of gay guys don't have sex with condoms because they're just like, what's going to happen? Am I going to have a baby? And it's like, no, you dumb bitch. Like, just use a fucking condom. Like, it's so funny because in the gay community, they now have something called PrEP, which you can take PrEP to prevent your chance.
Yeah, I've seen the commercial.
Yeah, to prevent your chance for HIV transmission. But there's been issues where so many people are like, oh, I'm on PrEP, so I don't have to wear condoms when I have sex with strangers, and then they'll get HIV because it just lessens your chance.
It doesn't.
Yeah. That's the gay community, baby. We're trying. We are trying. But anyway, so what happened was there were about 5 of us. My ex at the time, my first boyfriend, he was the one that told me about everything.
The Marine.
Yeah, the Marine. And so what ended up happening is that I was depressed. I was miserable. I thought I was HIV positive, and I didn't know what to do. So about 3 weeks later, I was having trouble in class, which in class, if you failed 3 classes in a row, you got kicked out. About 3 weeks later, I was having trouble in class, and so I went to a sergeant that was on staff. After 5, all the sergeants go home. One stays home, stays at the base, and so I walked in, and I'm 19, and I look him in the eye, and I say, I have to report a rape. And fill out a police statement because of the fact that justice is there. And I remember the sergeant asked me something because I told him that I drank underage. Like, I was like, I drink underage. This is somebody that's using this, because I had this whole image in my head that if I didn't say I drank underage, he would just say I drank underage, and there would just be this whole like mudslinging going on.
Yeah.
So I just admitted to drinking underage, and the sergeant at the time was just like, you don't have to tell me everything. I can pretend I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Because they have to punish you in the military
Yeah.
if you come out. And so I did that. And after that, I stopped drinking. And it was really funny is because I kind of got saved because it was a lieutenant colonel in charge of our squadron, and he was actually changing commands within a week. And so I spent this whole week not knowing what was going to happen to my life, where basically I was like, well, I'm going to get punished for underage drinking, which means I'm going to get kicked out of the military. I might be HIV positive.
God, what a week.
Oh my God, what a brutal week. Also, my best friend fucking betrayed me, like just this horrific, like, because I just felt so like desperately. And I was like, and I'm also thinking to myself, like, Jesus Christ, everything they say about gay men is true. I learned it. Like, they're awful, manipulative people that are just disease vectors. And the lieutenant colonel at the time, he was giving his like going away speech for the change of the command, and he was like, I had to punish. I had a tough week. I had to punish a bunch of airmen this week. I had like 3 people with DUIs and all of this, and he goes, but I got to do something really cool as a lieutenant colonel. Is that I have a blue pen that I can just kind of erase part of somebody's statement. This airman came forward and did something brave, and he did what he thought was necessary to protect other people. And I'm sitting here too, and you remember, like, I'm sitting at attention.
No, I don't. I just real quick. The lieutenant colonel giving the speech. That's not the guy who assaulted you.
No.
Okay.
The guy that assaulted me was a random Navy guy.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You did say that. All right. I was having trouble. For a second, I was like, wait a second. Is he talking about like erasing your statement?
No.
That's why I was like starting to freak out. I was like, this is like in a movie.
No. It was actually like a really positive story, because what happened was the lieutenant colonel was like, I saw some airmen make some big mistakes this week, and he goes on and on about these 3 people with DUIs and everything. And I remember I'm sitting here. I'm like, for sure I'm getting kicked out of the military.
Yeah.
And the lieutenant colonel goes, but I also saw like an airman do a nice thing, and I have a pen, and I erased part of his testimony because he admitted to underage drinking because he thought he had to stop something. But I erased that part of his testimony because I can do that. I refused that as part of the testimony so he could do the right thing.
Wow.
Yeah. It was crazy. Yeah, like
You still might have HIV, but that was really sweet.
Yeah, I know. I had 6 weeks of HIV testing, which thankfully I'm not. And
But it's one of the, like, you're sitting there like, this is so sweet, but I also might be dying.
yeah, I also might be. Oh my God! But by the way, HIV doesn't work like that right now, anyway. But he was. Oh no! But I still felt like that. I thought I was.
No, that's how I would. I mean, I know medically that's not how it works. But that's just how I
know.
feel.
I felt like I was gonna fucking die. Like I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna go to hell. But anyway, no, he erased that testimony. So basically, I got off scot-free. And at that point, I kind of got away with anything. I didn't really drink anymore. I went out and I like ignored curfew all the time. But I stopped drinking after that because. I was turning 20. I had turned 20, and I was like 4 or 5 months into being 20. And once I passed the language course, which that was the hard part.
Oh, yeah, because I forgot this whole time you're in training.
Yeah, I'm in training.
This whole time it's a 1.5-year course.
Yeah, I'm learning Persian the entire time, Iranian the entire time. Crazy, I know, right?
God, I completely forgot that whole thing was going on.
Well, and so now you have to realize, so super intense academic environment.
Yeah.
So at the end, you have to take a test, and if you fail, you fail, bud. You have to do something else, which means you just have to go tuck your tail in between your legs and be like a.
And that year and a half was all for nothing.
And that year and a half was all for nothing. And so I passed the Farsi language course by the grace of God. Blessed be her name. No, I'm joking. That's way too gay. No, so I passed my Farsi language course. I'm 20, and then I just kind of look at myself because we had 55 people in my class, and only 22 graduated.
God.
Yeah, it's a huge washout rate because language is stupid. All language is dumb. It's like it's so stupid. Language is the dumbest thing, especially when you study it. God, you'll never understand any of it. It's all like some made-up game. So we had 20.
That's true, though. It really is.
No, it really is. Yeah, it really is. If you want to know how messed up, well, actually, you can just hear that because you said it's true. That is really messed up. And I said, no, it is. Like, I'm using no as an affirmative there. Isn't that how great English is?
Yeah.
I'm saying no, but I mean yes. God, that's stupid. And you understood that I was saying yes by saying no. Oh, Lord. No, so I had passed. So now I had something to lose, right?
Yeah.
So now I was just like, okay, I'm not going to drink anymore. And it was like, can I? Oh, yeah, I have to pee so bad.
And just like that, through the magic of technology, we're back.
Yeah.
So you were saying now you have something to lose.
Yeah, so now I had something to lose, which meant that, like, okay, now I didn't want to drink because I was having fun, right? But now, once I passed that class, I just knew I had something to lose. So, what the fuck am I doing if I'm drinking underage? Like, I don't want to blow everything. Like, I already, like, first off, like, it'd be embarrassing to come back home after, like, failing and being...
After being gone for a couple of years and then...
Like, and failing, like, that would be embarrassing. But to come back and be, like, so close, but you just, like, fucked up your way out. Like, because, like, I got to earn the title. I got to be a linguist, you know? So at this point, like, I accomplished the thing that nobody could ever do. Because they gas you up the whole time. They're like, you're the 1% of the 1%,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, because there's, like, only, like, 1% of Americans join the military, and, like, only 1% of military people are capable of being a linguist. So there's this whole thing where they blow you every week. They're like, you're so smart. You're so capable. Look how smart and capable you are. And that's probably because they did a study that found that positive affirmation must work better than negative affirmation. Because it's not like that in most other trainings. But in linguists, it was kind of like, be confident, believe in yourself. Like, even the leadership was really into this whole kind of like positive message. So, I stopped drinking when I when I had graduated because, now I had something to lose. And I was in Dari, and my best friend was 2 weeks ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and call them, what's a good, Frodo. Frodo. Let's just do Frodo. I already used Snuffy. But anyway, Mr. Frodo was a couple weeks ahead of me. He was one of the reasons I passed because he really helped me learn Farsi. And so he ended up going to Goodfellow, which after you do like Monterey and everything, you have to go to Texas, and you got to do another training. You got to do multiple other trainings actually.
Jesus.
Yeah. So you spend all this time being treated like a kid. But when you get to Texas, the thing about Texas is that training environment is meant to be very strict. It's meant to be like you're not ready for freedom kind of thing yet. But again, we've all been in the military for 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing, like E5 and E6, they don't know anything. Like a staff sergeant, an E5 in the Air Force, like all you have to do is stay in and not fuck up, and you'll be an E5 eventually. Like you're not a big dog if you're an E5. E6, you're kind of a big dog. You kind of know what you're talking about, but like it's so like very fake because like really it's officers who matter. Like staff sergeants, unless you're a senior NCO, which is like E7, E8, or E9. Unless you're a senior NCO, like you still have to earn respect from the people that work for you.
Yeah.
So, we got into this point where it's just like we're here, and like we're supposed to march, and we're supposed to pretend like we're still like in the baby Air Force, and we get to this other base in Texas, and the MTLs, the military training leaders, I think, they're all just assholes there, because they don't get that we've been in training for 2 years, that we've been doing the whole dog and pony show, which is super stressful and super stupid, because we have mandated PT, we have mandatory dress uniform days every week, we have mandatory fun, like it's a hyper structured, no freedom, no adulthood life, and we've been doing that for 2 years, so everyone's done with it. Everyone's just
over it.
Yeah, everyone's just absolutely over it, because we know that if you're a staff sergeant, you don't mean anything. Like, you're not, like, we know that you're just a guy that got put here because your other job is not that important. So, no, I mean, that's really what an MTL and an MTI is. Most in the Air Force, when you do your job and you become like a staff sergeant or a tech sergeant, they don't want you to do your job anymore. They want you to be a leader. So you go out and you do other places.
Yeah.
So these are just people that are like, they got assigned this job. They're not even doing their real job anymore. These are people that worked in dining facilities and material management, warehouse, and all of that. And it's nothing against that, because that's really part of the American dream in the Air Force. We're all part of the same team. But, it's hard not. We've had our dick sucked for 2 years. We know this is all fake. Like, dude, just
chill.
Just chill, lay off of us. And it was hilarious, because remember there was this lady that she was just a monster of a human being, because she would wear these sunglasses out of regulation, and then so we're all linguists, and we've been in 2 years, and we're like, why are you getting mad at us for having glasses out of regulation? You're wearing glasses out of regulation. One day she made us stand attention in the Texas sunlight for an hour to be like, I am a leader. You can't talk to me that way. And it was like,
are you fucking kidding me?
100%. Like, she literally like gave like this whole speech about how like it's not our space to correct her.
My grandfather, who was an original Green Beret, this reminded me of that. He told me stories about, like, if you're a leader, like out, because he was in wars and stuff. So he was like, yeah, if your leader told you to go do something and everyone kind of looked around like that's suicide, they just weren't there anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like just because you have this title doesn't mean you're like, you can't. I'm surprised not everyone was just like, fuck you.
No, actually that base ended up getting investigated for like a bunch of things. It was really bad leadership. The colonel in charge of that base hated linguists for some reason.
That's weird.
Well, no, I think the reason is because of the fact that, a training environment has this thing where it's like a solid, and it's a pretty Air Force. It's a very pretty military. Training military is very pretty because, you have people so close to base and to their boot camp, like they know how to march perfectly. It's very pretty. It's very performative. So, you've got this guy that's in charge of like a couple thousand people who are just done with this. We know that that's performative. We know that's not how the real Air Force works.
You've been to the circus and you've seen the strings.
Yeah, we know that this is all string work, and like we're ready to actually just do our jobs and be part of the Air Force. But we got there, and my friend, who was also underage, he kept drinking. Now, I didn't drink at the time, and so he kept drinking. And it was really clear because, like I said, that big problem with that military pressure, and I'll gladly admit to it. I just couldn't handle it, bud. I was not strong enough or whatever, professional enough. Actually that's BS. It really, what it was is that, I was just too young. I couldn't, there's no way an 18-year-old me could have made it. I'm surprised I didn't kill myself in the military. I really am. Because that pressure and that stress is just untenable for some people. And when you do that, sometimes people develop a bad habit with drinking where people think that you drink to calm your nerves, and that's not really what you're doing when you drink to get really drunk. What you're drinking to get drunk for is so that you don't have nerves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so and it's so that's why it's so funny when you see somebody like when you see yourself with like really drinking way too much, because you get to this point where you're like, oh fuck, wait a minute, why am I drinking all the time? And it's like, well, because I feel fine when I'm drinking. And it's like, but I feel terrible all the other times. And it's like, oh, that's because I'm not actually alleviating stress.
Yeah, you're just covering it, masking it.
Yeah, you're just covering it. You're just putting like a flex tape over it,
Yeah.
like just smack that. Like you're not fixing anything, but it feels like you are.
You feel better. I mean, that's why before I got sober, that's why I was drunk so often, for so long, because
it feels great, doesn't
Yeah.
it? It feels wonderful when you
the
get.
scary part is when it stops feeling great.
Oh yeah.
Because eventually, I mean, I can't speak for anyone else, but in my case, I was drinking so much so regularly that it got to a point where I could drink half of a handle and I still
feel
felt
miserable.
shit. And I was like, what? That's how I ended up with alcohol poisoning and ended up in the ER my last time I drank, because I just kept drinking and drinking and drinking. And I was like, this isn't working.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny is that that's when I got my first DUI. Actually, that's how I felt about it. Like, this is after training and everything. This is actually when I got to base and I was doing my job, which wasn't what I was told it would be. Like, when I got to base and I was a linguist, the problem is that I was an airborne linguist, so I had to be a flyer and a linguist at the same time. I was in the Midwest. I was in Nebraska. And one, I don't know if it's just because like I'm a Florida boy or something, but like, or if it's just seasonal affective disorder or whatever they call it. But like, one, we worked in like TS buildings or top secret buildings. So you close everything. There's no windows. There's no light. So you're just in a dark building for most of the day. You come into work before the sun rises and you leave as the sun sets.
Yeah.
And you do that for 6 months out of the year.
Jesus Christ.
And it drove me crazy. And also, I have ADHD, so I needed a lot of help. But our squadron was so big that I never got the chance to actually like talk to anyone. So because everybody was so busy and so overwhelmed, like I felt uncomfortable just telling people like, dude, I really just need you to sit down with me and help me figure this out. So I had a lot of problems there, and I kind of fell into this thing where a lot of my friends from training, they ended up going to different bases, and I wasn't really I didn't really pursue a lot of stuff, so I was dealing with a lot of the depression and PTSD from my rape and training. And so, like, I didn't have a lot of gay friends in Nebraska. I remember getting kind of not even really kicked out of gay groups. Like, I just not even accepted into gay groups, which this is one of the things that I have just figured out about my life in general. Like, the hardest part about my life isn't being gay. The hardest part about my life is being gay and weird. Like, oh, man. Like, I'm a weird person. And it doesn't, like, I honestly say I'm probably more weird than I am gay. But, I
could vouch for that.
Yeah, I could. Thank you. I take that as a token of gratitude. No, so I didn't have any friends, and the friends I did have, I didn't even think of them as friends because I was just really drinking with them. And when you get in that really dark place, there's this point where you almost don't even like the people that you party with, because you look at them and you're just like, oh my God, you guys are partying with me. I don't want to be friends with people with bad taste.
Yeah. Trust me, I'm definitely aware of that.
Yeah. So I'd been there, and one, it was miserable. The weather was awful. I hated it. No sunlight. I started drinking because of the fact that like I was having trouble with my duties around the squadron, because I just couldn't maintain things because I was so stressed all the time, and I wasn't going to therapy for being through all my issues, and I was just alienating a lot of people because there's this weird point in your life, especially when you're like dealing with a lot of that, is when you can't really communicate to people in a meaningful way that you're hurting.
Yeah.
The scary thing that happens is that you start to think that the only way for other people to understand you is to hurt them.
Yeah.
And I got into that place. I really did. I can forgive myself for that now because I'm an adult and I went through it. A lot of DMT. No, I mean, I'm kidding. No. I can forgive myself now for that space, but I just was like a miserable person because I wouldn't even like people unless they didn't like me. I started just feeling so unhappy about life and just brutally unhappy about everything. And, when you get in that space, in that headspace where you think about it, and I didn't know how to cook because I'm a 20-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know how to cook. I turned 21. So I basically would just eat McDonald's and drink Four Locos. Oh, God. Yeah. I have, to this day, like, I can't even think about a Four Loco and just not be like,
Yeah, get sick.
Yeah, like, what was I doing to myself?
God, that's insane.
Yeah, well, and I was a dumbass because I moved into a suburb, and I didn't even realize, like, why didn't I move into the city? Because I was paid super well. But eventually I gained a bunch of weight, and so one thing that they don't tell you about the gay community that's really, really tough is just that if you are pretty and gay, it is a fantasy funland. It is Disneyland to be a pretty gay man.
I have a feeling I know where this is going.
But when you start gaining some weight, and you start getting a little bit of pudge around it, and you're not taking the best care of yourself. Ooh,
it's not a fantasy funland anymore.
It's not a fantasy fun. Actually, I like to put this in like the clearest, most possible terms. Like being a chubby gay man. No, being a chubby gay man is really like the worst hell I've ever been to. And I am
the worst hell I've ever been to.
Oh my God. If you are a chubby gay black man right
HIV,
now, look,
didn't come out, conversion therapy, all this stuff.
No, I'm serious. If you are a chubby gay Asian or a chubby gay black minority, anything, chubby gay is like, oh my God, that's hell. Like, oh Lord, because they treat you differently. Like it's completely. I just watched all of my white privilege dissipate. Like I in front of me. Oh my God, yeah. So of course I went off that, but I'm so much better now. But I'm sorry, but yeah, no. Now I've lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah, you have. I've noticed that you've been dieting.
Yeah, I've been
exercising. You're working out on the ranch, your dad's ranch again.
Yeah, and I just cut back drinking a lot, and that's really what it is. And it's easy to cut back drinking when you realize that you're only drinking because you want to just like get fucked up. If you want to drink to get fucked up, you're just drinking because you don't want to think about things. You can hurt yourself with working out, and it does the same thing.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. You can also just hate other people. No, I'm kidding.
So when are you out of here? When are you leaving Jacksonville?
Well, officially, I'm going to be heading out in November.
Okay.
Late November is the date. I'm going to be moving in with a military friend in Monterey, actually.
Hey, heading back to Monterey.
Yeah, for a little bit, and then I'll be moving to San Diego.
Okay, that's awesome. I'm going to get you back on here before you leave. We'll do a part 2. This is a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I got like so many details.
No, I know. I love the stories. It's just I was like at about an hour 20-25. I was like, I don't want it to go too long.
No.
I want to save some for part 2.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there then.
So go ahead, plug everything again.
All right. Go ahead. Look me up on Facebook. I'm Dallas James Nelson. On Instagram, I'm Atlas_vaped, which is a parody joke for Atlas Shrugged. Again, Atlas_vaped. I have a picture of myself with rubber bands on my head that say darn. It's after Kendrick Lamar's album of Damn. But anyway.
Of course. God,
I'm so great.
Brennan T Comedy, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, BrennanTComedy.com. Got a show coming up on the 16th of October at Hyperion. That'll be an outdoor show. Come see me then. Check out my sports podcast, Cheers from the Press Box. And thank you for joining us on another edition of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy.